Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from bright, shiny San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Hope you guys are ready to rock and roll today. If you had a 3-day weekend, I hope it was wonderful and enjoyable. If you're in the Texas area, I hope you're planning on making a quick trip to Houston, helping some folks out for a few hours. Drive there, drive back, it's all good. Let's save your marriage this morning. How about that, huh? Let's save your marriage. I heard an old story about a president of the United States, true story, who reached out to a famous author. And the guy is kind of a comedian slash author. And he was invited to the White House to meet with the president, and yet he did not know why. He was very confused about it. When he arrived at the White House and he was ushered into the private quarters with the president said, "I'm sure you're wondering why you are here and why I've asked for you." And he said, "I am, quite frankly. I am trying to figure that out." And he said, "Well, I'm going to be very vulnerable with you, and I need you to keep this between us. I'm having serious problems in my marriage." And the man immediately replied, "Yes, sir, I know you are." The president, shocked, said, "What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you know that I am?" He goes, "I know because you're married." Ladies and gentlemen, marriage can be a lot like that little funny sound you hear the engine in your car making every now and then. You know, you're driving down the road minding your own business, and then you start hearing this little and you think, "Oh, no, la, 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 la. I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And you hope that by maybe turning the radio up a little louder, maybe you'll stop hearing this funny little sound. You don't know what it is. And quite frankly, in the back of your mind, you're hoping it'll just fix itself. You're hoping it'll just take care of itself, that one day you'll start the car and it'll just go away. And the reason that you are concerned about addressing it is very legitimate. The reason you don't want to address that funky little sound your car engine started making is because of the story you tell yourself, which goes something like this: "Oh my gosh, I am so busy. I have so much on my schedule. There's no way I have time to take it in to get it looked at. And after all, if I take it in and get it looked at, what if it's something big, bad, and hairy and expensive? And then I'm going to have to get a rental car or get rides to work. And I'm going to be completely inconvenienced. And it could be a major financial drain on me. And I don't have all the finances that I really need right now. I can't afford for something to be wrong with my car. I can't afford the time that it would take for me to maintain and take care of this and see what's wrong. I'm just going to pretend that it doesn't exist. I'm just going to pretend like I don't hear that sound that my car's making. I'm going to turn the radio up a little louder. Maybe I won't hear it. Maybe it'll go away." The challenge with that, friend, is that when something starts going wrong and makes a little noise in the engine, it doesn't typically just heal itself unless Jesus does something pretty supernatural. It doesn't go away. In fact, with use and time, it actually gets worse and gets worse. And the biggest challenge is the greatest fear, which was the potential financial cost, the time commitment, the unknown of figuring it out, the being fearful that something might really be bad and really be wrong with that car engine, that keeps you from addressing it and causes you to ignore it. Well, the alternative of that, my friend, is it's Friday. You got off at 5 o'clock. It's 5:15. You're in the middle lane of 5 lanes of traffic, and bam, the car engine goes out. And now you are stuck in the middle of the road, creating a massive hazard for yourself and everyone around you, causing massive delays for everybody attempting to get home as people drive past you, cussing and yelling and flipping you off because you're making their lives inconvenient. Now, everything you were afraid of addressing is happening to you, except for this reality. It is significantly more expensive now because the problem has progressed. It is significantly more expensive now because now you have to call for a tow truck. It is significantly more inconvenient because now you cannot build this into your schedule on your timeline. You now must react to the situation by getting a tow truck, taking it somewhere, being desperate. Now you are completely in, everything you were worried about happening is happening anyway, except now it's completely out of your control. What's the old saying, ladies and gentlemen? An ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. When it starts making that little noise, y'all, you can't ignore it. It ain't gonna go away. It's gonna keep getting worse. And that car scenario is a lot like most marriages. I love hearing about people getting married. Angela and I will celebrate 23 years on the 23rd of this month, and I joke with people, I say we have a phenomenal and amazing marriage. Yet she is a fiery Latina, which means I'm always 3 fights away from being stabbed in the chest. So there's that. We have a great marriage now because God has been very faithful to us and given us wisdom and grace to love and forgive each other throughout those years as we have grown individually. And a marriage is a lot like that car. You may hear that little rattling sound. You may hear that little funky something going on there. You start hearing that little sound in your car. Hey, I get it. It's inconvenient. I don't have time. I'm too busy. What if it's something big and hairy? What if it's something expensive? I got to dress it. I got to figure it out. I don't have time to do all that. So you avoid it until the sound gets worse and you get stuck on Loop 410 in the middle lane at 5:30 on a Friday, and now everybody's life is a pure hell. You have to deal with everything you were afraid of anyway. Now it's much more expensive and completely out of your control. And your marriage is like that, ladies and gentlemen. Your marriage is like that. This is a message right here real quick for the men only. Men, your marriage is in a really scary spot right now. The problem is you just don't know it. It's in a pretty scary spot. How do I know? Because you're married and because you're a dude. We are different. We function differently. We have different needs. See that? That's prophetic right there. Your marriage is an emergency right there, y'all. You hear it? You can hear the sirens even backing me up. You may not realize it. You may have gotten to that place in your marriage where your wife has simply given up attempting to have the conversation, and maybe she's gone radio silence. Oh, I know. She still makes you breakfast every now and then, and she still does your laundry, and you still help each other around the house, and you still get the kids where they need to go, doing what they're supposed to be doing. I know, y'all are still cordial and cool. You guys are kind of like, roommates who are just not ugly to each other, and you've acquiesced to mediocrity and a passionless relationship because guess what? You don't have the time. You don't want to know. You don't want to check it out. I get it. Just like the car with the funky little sound. Know this, guys. There's a funky little sound, especially to men. Ask your wife, hey, sweetie, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being there's divorce papers in your purse right now, and 10 being you're in ridiculous wedded bliss with me right now, where are we on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, let me just suggest some of you may need to take a shot before you have that conversation. Some of you may need a beer before you have that conversation. Some of you may need to get down on your knees and talk to Jesus before you ask her, because you may not be ready for the answer that she says. There's always room for improvement. When she says whatever that number is, then your next question is, well, sweetie, what's it going to take to get us from that number to the 10? What can I do? What's my part? Ask the question. There's a little rattle. There's a little rattle in the engine, y'all. It's making a sound. That little sound ain't gonna go away just because you turn the radio up and you get busier in your life. Just because you guys aren't beating each other up every day doesn't mean that things are where your marriage can be, and the greatness that God has for you in your relationship and in your marriage. It can be bigger, it can be better, it can be more. So what's the combination here? Now, ladies, here, let me tell you something real quick. I'm gonna address ladies real quick. The bar you have set for your husband is probably ridiculously high, unless you've just given up all hope. The bar is set sometimes in an unrealistic level, and perfect commitment and execution at all times, if that's the standard, then the dude's gonna be demoralized. You gotta think of us kind of like, every now and then, like little puppy dogs. Every now and then we need a pat on the head. Every now and then you gotta throw us a bone. You gotta say, good boy, good effort, buddy. Good job. Guys live on praise. They wither with criticism. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you've criticized your husband to the point where he can't even look you in the eyes anymore. 10 being you give him so much encouragement, the guy floats out of the door on his way to work. Where would you say you are with your husband in relation to criticism versus encouragement? Are you aware that men operate on encouragement? Are you aware that men operate on, hey, baby doll, I know we're not where we can be, And yet I notice you're putting the work in, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for putting in the effort. You see, you got to reward little efforts along the way. You got to throw little breadcrumbs out there on the trail, because guys tend to think of success or failure. I'm doing good or I'm doing bad. I'm perfect, I'm horrible. Everything's all right, I'm about to die. Guys find very little grayish area. So what I'm sharing with you ladies is, you got to throw your dude a bone. I mean, give him an A for effort. If the man is putting in a little extra effort, you got to reward that, and you got to acknowledge that for a guy to continue to have what it takes for him to move forward. So let's just have this conversation about it. Just like the analogy I used in the beginning, when the car is making a funky little sound, I get it. I know everybody wants to turn the music up. Nobody wants to go into the shop and have to get a rental and try to figure out what the mechanic's going to say. Is the guy going to screw you over and take you for your money? Is it going to be expensive? It won't go away. The difference is, if you address it by maintenance, then you are in control of your schedule, and then you can plan your finances. If you ignore it, you get dropped off on the side, a Loop 410 in the middle of traffic on a Friday, and now it's a train wreck outside of your control, and you still have all that other stuff you were worried about. Step number 1, men, ask your wives. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1, divorce papers are in your purse. 10, you're in blissful, like romance novel heaven. Where are we on a scale of 1 to 10? She tells you the number, then you say, honey, what's it going to take for us, realistically, you think, for us to get from there to a 10? Because I intend to create an environment for you that you can flourish in, and so that you can have as big of a life as possible. Give you a couple principles, and then I'm out. Principle number 1, ladies, have grace for your guy. Throw him a bone for effort. Acknowledge the effort that he's putting in. If a guy's putting in effort and hasn't given up, you got to acknowledge that. That motivates and inspires and encourages a guy, okay? Men, when it comes to ladies, if they say nothing's wrong, bruh, something's wrong. Don't be afraid to have the conversation with her. Please don't be afraid to have the conversation with her. Make a commitment that when you ask her a question, that you will do everything in your God-given power just to keep your mouth shut and not try to fix it, not try to figure out or take it personally. Just try to listen as if you were listening to one of your buddy's wives talking about her husband, and just listen as intently as you can. Brother, I know it's hard. I think I've lost about 800 calories asking those questions, just sitting there for 10 minutes. It's tough, bro. But you got to address that noise in the engine. Click, 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 click. You got to acknowledge it, because it's making a noise. You just don't realize it right now. Third principle. Learn this simple statement. When you are arguing or in a disagreement, one of you has to be the first one to say, stop, time out. I was wrong. I'm wrong. Will you please forgive me? And the other person must commit to saying, I forgive you. There's power in the spoken word. There's power in that word. Humility comes before honor. Humility is the fertile soil of a great relationship. Humility allows you the opportunity to really hear the other person. Listen with the intent to understand, instead of listening to give your answer or fix it or the response, guys. That's it. Be nice to each other. It's very, very simple. Guys, I challenge you today, ask your wife the question. Wives, I challenge you to ask your husband the question. Because guess what? If you're married, there's a rattle in the car engine. And I know you're trying to turn up the music so you won't hear it. La, 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 I can't do it. I can't do it. You might need to go to what I call a marriage coach. And Angela and I have had marriage coaches throughout the years. Some people call them counselors. I call them a coach, someone who has been there, done that, written the book, got the story, experience, who can give you little nuggets of wisdom and revelation that help you along the way. You may need to do what Angela and I do. You may need to commit to a date night. Even like we have on times where you fight all the way to the restaurant. And you have one rule: don't talk about the kids. Talk about each other. Fourth principle that I leave you with today, and final this morning, is this. If you find yourself talking about your issues more than you're talking about your goals, there's a rattle in your engine. Do you talk more about your issues than you do about your goals? Your engine's rattling. It's going to leave you on the side of the road, man. It's going to be bad, okay? He's going to start looking for encouragement elsewhere. She's going to start looking to be heard elsewhere, and the door's going to be wide open to something neither of you guys want, because you just turn up the radio too loud. You don't want to hear that rattle on the engine. Dance with the one who brung you, man. Work it out with who you got. Figure it out. Because you know what the problem is? Wherever you go, bro, there you are. There you are. The problem's in us. It's not with the other person. We're not victims. Well, if she would just change, then I would change. Well, if he would just change, I would change. No, sucker. You change, and they change. It's on you. It's all on you. It's all your fault. Once you realize the good news and the bad news is it's all your fault, you can do something about it, step out of victimhood, and begin the process of growth. Trust me, guys, God can breathe life into dry bones and give you something magnificent that you don't even realize is available. All hard work leads to a profit. You will reap what you sow. The good Lord will not leave you hanging as you put in the work. Have a great day, guys.